Chapter 1181. The current Dong Lakun is at least a Marquis of Wu. As for David's current strength, it is still a little difficult to fight against a Marquis. If you add other people, you will definitely lose. So David wanted to escape, but Dong Lakun seemed to have expected David to escape. Just when David jumped up, his hands instantly waved in the air. A giant net woven with strength blocked David's way. David throws a punch. Boom! Several rays of light flickered, the giant net instantly turned into a spot of light, and David's body was directly repelled at this moment, and fell heavily to the ground. Seeing this, David knew that if he wanted to escape, he had lost his best chance. At this time, perhaps offense is the best defense. Thinking of this, David let out a loud cry. The power of the dragon was fully mobilized, the undamaged golden body was activated, and the scales on his body began to grow rapidly. Dazzling golden light surrounded David's body. Holy Light Fist! One after another boxing shadows moved towards Dong Lakun, and the monstrous momentum spread out in an instant, and the entire Dong family was shrouded in it. Looking at this scene, a flash of solemnity flashed on Dong Lakun's face. He didn't expect that David's breath would be so terrifying. He now has some doubts, whether it is worthwhile to offend David for Long Jing. But now that the momentum was approaching, Dong Lakun waved gently, and the rays of light began to center on him, and then spread out. In an instant, a powerful aura formed around Dong Lakun, which seemed to gather the power of heaven and earth. Dong Lakun's strength should not be underestimated. Otherwise, how could it be mixed in Kyoto? All kinds of techniques and magical powers are also easily pinched. David's holy light fist, punching the powerful aura with one punch, was like sinking into the sea, and the terrifying power was instantly absorbed by the aura. And Dong Lakun waved lightly, and a bunch of bright rays of light burst out of the aura. The light turned into a huge fist and slammed into David fiercely. When David saw this, his heart sank involuntarily. He found that this power turned out to be the holy light fist he just punched. It seems that this aura did not absorb David's power, but stored it and then bounced back. Boom! David smashed out another punch, and the two collided with the same force. David's body took a few steps back. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. With the punch at the beginning, David almost used all his strength, but he didn't want it to end up on him in the end. David, do you still want to resist? Dong Lakun looked at David coldly, his eyes extremely indifferent. Even if it is death, I will not sit still. David wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, the breath on his body rose again, the world changed color caused by the terrifying breath, and the air burst. Rumbling. There was a loud noise, like a thunder. Extending his right hand, the dragon-slaying sword instantly appeared in David's hand, and the fire burning on the dragon-slaying sword caused the surrounding temperature to increase sharply. The golden light on David covered the sky and the sun, and the sky over the Dong family villa began to cover the sky. This is a life and death battle, and David did not dare to be careless. He was trying to summon the golden dragon in his body. It's just that this golden dragon is not under the control of David, and when it appears, it is not something that David can control. Looking at the dragon-slaying sword in David's hand, Dong Lakun's eyes were full of heat. I didn't expect you to have a lot of treasures on your body. Dong Lakun said with a sneer. David looked at Dong Lakun with contempt. He hated this kind of hypocrite the most. A hypocrite is not as good as a real villain, it is too hateful. 9 Shadow Swordsmanship. David let out a loud shout, then swung the dragon-slaying sword, his body instantly divided into 2, 2, and 3. Chapter 1182. The 6 identical Davids stood together, surprising everyone. Only that Dong Lakun looked calm. A mere sham, showing off in front of me. Dong Lakun didn't care about David's 9 Shadows swordsmanship. David didn't speak. He felt like a waste of energy when he said one more sentence now. Break! David jumped up. In the air, Only 6 identical David were seen, staying there like gods. Then, 2 bright sword chi waved out. In the end, they merged into one and directly attacked Dong Lakun. This sword energy pierced through the sky, as if tearing a gap in time and space. Above the sword energy, there is still a raging fire of spirit fire. If the terrifying sword chi caused many people in the Dong family to flee, the spiritual fire above the sword chi alone would make everyone unbearable. But such a terrifying sword chi slashed at Dong Lakun's aura. The same scene appeared. After the terrifying sword energy touched the aura, it disappeared without a trace in an instant, as if it had never existed at all. If it weren't for the residual heat remaining in the air, no one would believe that David had just waved such a terrifying sword energy. You mere martial sect, no matter how many magic weapons you have, it will be futile in front of me. Dong Lakun said lightly. After speaking, Dong Lakun used his hand as a sword and waved towards David instantly. In the aura, a ray of light flashed in an instant. The same terrifying sword energy attacked David. David had just experienced it, so he had been prepared for a long time. The figure flashed quickly, dodging the sword energy, but the sword energy was still swept across the back. A golden light flashed, and a deep wound appeared on David's back. Pieces of golden scales fell off, and finally disappeared. David's body fell from the air, and his face became very ugly. Although he barely escaped the sword chi just now, it also made David embarrassed. David stared at Dong Lakun, not daring to attack lightly. Because every attack is equivalent to hitting yourself. Seeing that David was no longer attacking, Dong Lakun looked at him with a sneer. What? Just these 2 times? I really don't know where your confidence came from. It seems that I also overestimated you, causing me to waste a chi control pill, but this chi control pill turned out to be fake. I will find them to settle accounts sooner or later. Now hand over Longjing herself, I can make you feel better. If you have the ability, you can get it yourself. David's face was cold, and anger rose in his eyes. It is good. After Dong Lakun finished speaking, his figure suddenly flashed and he came directly in front of David. David didn't realize how Dong Lakun came to him and was slapped in the chest by Dong Lakun. David's body was knocked out and slammed into a stone wall before he stopped. David's chest was sunken, and his ribs were obviously broken. Indestructible golden body, in front of Dong Lakun, was even vulnerable. This is the gap between Wuzong and Wuhao. The small realm gap, or the same realm, may be able to make up for it with talent and skills. But the gap between the great realms is like a gulf that cannot be crossed. Only when you arrive at the realm of Marquis can you experience and comprehend the new methods. David has not yet reached the half-step Wuhao. If he reaches the half-step Wuhao, facing Dong Lakun, he will not be so embarrassed. He climbed up from the ground with difficulty. Although he was injured, David's face was still full of determination. As long as he doesn't die, he will never give in. Seeing David stand up again, Dong Lakun couldn't help sighing, what a good seedling, it's a pity that you are a tiger and cannot be used by others, so you have to die. After saying that, Dong Lakun flew up, and suddenly a long sword appeared in his hand, which was drawn towards David's chest. Chapter 1183. He wants to take out the dragon crystal from David's body. David stepped back again and again, but found that he couldn't escape Dong Lakun's sword shadow. Do you really want to die here today? Sonia, Gulinger, and Longwu flashed through David's mind. Then there are his own parents, and his biological mother whom he has never met. No, I can't die, I can't die. David shouted in his mind. Suddenly, a dazzling light burst out from David's chest. A screaming dragon roar sounded, and a golden dragon shot out from David's body. A huge breath enveloped David's predecessor. Dong Lakun was directly shocked by this breath and retreated. Then he looked at the golden dragon that rushed out of David's body with a look of surprise. This! Dong Lakun's eyes widened, He had never seen such a scene. The golden dragon hovered above David's head, and then directly wrapped David's body, and then turned into a pair of golden armor. Endless power was continuously transported from the armor to David's body. After Dong Lakun was stunned, he immediately reacted. He knew that this time David must not be allowed to escape, otherwise David would grow up in the future, and the Dong family would surely suffer a disaster. Go to H3LL. Dong Lakun held a long sword, and sword flowers bloomed from Dong Lakun's hands. Every sword flower contains the power of heaven and earth, like shackles, shrouded towards David. When David saw this, the dragon-slaying sword in his hand shook instantly. Countless sword shadows appeared and began to shoot out towards the sword flowers. Bang bang bang! A loud explosion sounded, and the Dong family villa began to collapse in this huge explosion. At this time, Dong Lakun no longer has the ability to be distracted and protect his villas. Seeing his home destroyed in ruins, Dong Lakun's eyes were full of anger. The energy in Dong Li's group is constantly rising, and the breath is rippling, and he has completely ignored his own home. David held the dragon-slaying sword, and also climbed the spiritual power in his body. The two are incompatible with each other. Soon, the figures of the two people collided together, the swords in their hands collided, making a harsh sound, and the gold and iron horses fought in all directions. The endless storm is centered on two people and continues to spread outward. The Dong family's villas were completely ruined. Even with many servants of the Dong family, unable to bear this force, they vomited blood one by one. Dong Lakun became more and more frightened as he fought. David was not in the realm of Wuzong, yet he was able to fight with him for such a long time. And the golden dragon that just burst out of David's body. What exactly is that? With Dong Lakun's strength, he could see that the golden dragon was by no means an illusion, but a real golden dragon. In the blink of an eye, David and Dong Lakun had already fought for hundreds of rounds, and the two of them were evenly tied. It's just that the aura in David's body became more and more unstable. It was obvious that the gap in the realm was difficult to make up. Even if the golden dragon appeared, it could only be resisted for a while. Seeing David starting to run out of breath, Dong Lakun's mouth raised a smile. Immediately after, he made a move to detect the dragon's claw and grabbed it towards David's chest, trying to take out the dragon crystal from David's chest. David's figure retreated, but Dong Lakun ripped off a piece of his chest abruptly. David's chest was dripping with blood, looking very terrifying. But for David, this injury is no different from being bitten by a mosquito. The indestructible golden body on David's body has long since disappeared, and he can only carry it by simply relying on his hard body. But the flesh is hard, and in the face of absolute strength, it is like a paper paste. Boy, you are really good, the younger generation, you are the first to be able to fight with me for so long. It seems that today I can't let you go no matter what. After Dong Lakun finished speaking, his body suddenly soared several inches, and he became much taller in an instant. Then he waved his palms, and a huge pagoda appeared in the air. Chapter 1184. A peaceful and soft light shone on David's body, which instantly weakened David's breath a lot, and David's consciousness also became dazed the moment it was illuminated. The pagoda fell from the sky, but at this moment, David's eyes flashed, his consciousness recovered, and the breath in his body also condensed. Stop! Just when the pagoda was about to suppress David, suddenly Dong Jiahao came out and stood with David at once. Seeing this, Dong Lakun hurriedly waved his hand, and the pagoda in mid-air disappeared instantly. Dad, what are you doing? Dong Jiahao looked at his father puzzled. And there was a middle-aged woman who came in with Dong Jiahao, who was Dong Jiahao's mother at first glance. Looking at the destroyed home, Dong Jiahao's mother also looked at Dong Lakun blankly. Lakun, what's going on? Dong Lakun's face became very ugly, and he said gloomily, don't worry about it, leave here immediately. Dad, why are you attacking Brother Chen? If you don't explain it, I won't leave. Dong Jiahao wanted to figure out, the two of them were fine when they left, but why are they fighting now? Dong Lakun's face was gloomy, but he didn't know how to tell Dong Jiahao. He knows too well what his son's character is. Otherwise, he wouldn't find an excuse to take Dong Jiahao away. Your dad wants the dragon crystal in my body, and then give it to you. Dong Lakun didn't say anything, David said aside. When Dong Jiahao heard this, his face instantly became angry, and he looked at Dong Lakun. Dad, is what Brother Chen said true? Jiahao, what I do is for your own good. You are in the younger generation and have the lowest strength. How many people have made jokes and criticisms? If it weren't for me standing in front, do you think that with your current strength, you can still show off your power in Kyoto? Dong Lakun roared at Dong Jiahao. I don't need it. My strength is high and low. I also cultivate by my own ability. I don't need to snatch other people's things to increase my cultivation. What's the difference between this kind of behavior and Xieshu? It's a shame that you still say that you are a famous and decent person all day long, and you disdain to follow those people in the martial arts alliance. I think you are not as good as those people. Although those people are all villains, they are also better than you, a hypocrite. Have you figured it out long ago and asked me to call Brother Chen, take me away, and then attack Brother Chen? Shame on you! Dong Jiahao roared loudly at his father, his voice was hoarse, and his eyes were full of anger. Damn! Seeing his son, Dong Lakun dared to say such a thing about himself, and immediately reached out his hand to hit Dong Jiahao. It was just that Dong Jiahao's mother held him tightly. What do you want to do? If you dare to beat your son, I will not finish with you. Dong Jiahao's mother yelled at Dong Lakun angrily. Dong Lakun looked at his wife, and his arrogance instantly faded. In this society, no matter how noble one's status is, being afraid of a wife has almost become the norm. Brother Chen, I'm sorry, I will personally apologize to you if I have a chance, you can go. Dong Jiahao looked at David with guilt on his face and said. David looked at Dong Jiahao, didn't say anything, he didn't know what to say, turned around and prepared to leave. Don't go. Seeing that David was leaving, Dong Lakun hurriedly wanted to stop him. If you dare to stop me, I will die in front of you. Dong Jiahao instantly took out a dagger and put it on his neck. When Dong Jiahao's mother saw this, her face changed instantly with fright, and her body trembled in a hurry. Son, listen to your mother, put the dagger down, and don't be stupid. Let Brother Chen go, or I will die and the Dong family will be cut off forever. Dong Jiahao threatens Dong Lakun. Chapter 1185. Dong Lakun's face was pale, panting heavily. Nazai, Nazai. Hurry up and talk, let the person go quickly. If your son has 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, no one will live. Dong Jiahao's mother roared at Dong Lakun. As a mother, she only hopes to see Dong Jiahao safe and sound. As for what realm and cultivation level, she doesn't care, she only cares about her son. Dong Lakun's face was flushed, he knew that if David was let go at this time, he would never have a chance in the future. Maybe there will be disasters for the Dong family. But if he doesn't let go, his son and wife force him, which makes Dong Lakun very embarrassed. What do you want? Do you want me to die in front of you? Dong Jiahao's mother yelled at Dong Lakun angrily. Dong Lakun was forced to be helpless, so he could only close his eyes and wave his hand. You go. David glanced at Dong Jiahao gratefully, turned around and left quickly without saying anything. Hey! Looking at the ruins all over the place, Dong Lakun sighed helplessly. This is really stealing chicken without losing rice. At this moment, Dong Lakun was full of anger and had nowhere to vent. He couldn't vent on his wife and children. Now he can only vent his anger to the person who sold him the Qi control pill. This happened because Dong Lakun thought that the medicinal pill was fake. Otherwise, David would have waited for a long time, and the latter things would not have happened. After David left the Dong family, he dragged his tired body and rushed towards Yaoshengu. He didn't dare to stay in Kyoto anymore. He originally thought that the capital was peaceful, but after today's events, David realized that his experience was still too shallow. The seemingly peaceful Kyoto martial arts world may have already been surging, staring at him like a wolf, like a tiger, looking for an opportunity to kill with one blow. What David has to do now is to return to the Valley of the Gods of Medicine, and then let Longwu take him to the Valley of the Wicked. Now the most powerful card in David's hand is the Valley of the Villains. If David wanted to practice peacefully, he had to have someone to protect the Dharma, and the 4 villains in the Valley of the Villains were the most suitable. But just as David was rushing towards Yaoshin Valley, suddenly several breaths were galloping in his direction. David frowned, and his face changed instantly. So fast? Could it be that someone from the Dong family has caught up? David pondered to himself, but he did not stop at his feet, and continued to speed up. David was exhausted at the moment, and the spiritual power in his body had long been exhausted, and even the power of the dragon was almost exhausted, so he did not have time to repair and replenish. Although he had a map of 90,000 miles of mountains and rivers in his hand, and the Demon Town Pagoda, both of them could help David to reply quickly. But now David can't stop for a moment, and there is no chance to repair and reply. Several breaths are getting closer and closer, and they have become surrounded by David. Seeing this, David knew that he couldn't run away, so he stopped and quickly adjusted his breathing and state. If you can't run away, then fight to the death. Soon, several figures appeared, and they were getting closer. David, I didn't expect us to meet so soon. You are gloomy enough to make it easy for me to find it. Luo Xiang looked at David with a grim smile and said slowly. When David saw that it was Luo Xiang, he felt relieved. As long as Dong Lakun didn't catch up, Ning Ji was no match for Wu Zong's peak strength. Even if David was exhausted, he would have no problem dealing with Luo Xiang. You dare to chase the capital from Sichuan, do you really consider the entire summer as your home? When I was in Sichuan, I didn't fight you, but here, with your strength, can you kill me? David looked at Luo Xiang disdainfully, his voice full of ridicule. Chapter 1186. Haha, what are you pretending to be? You look exhausted right now. If I kill you, it's not impossible. What's more, I am not only a peak Wuzong here. After Luo Xiang finished speaking, all the people surrounding David burst out with aura. Each of them turned out to be 8th-ranked martial sects, and there were 2 of them at the peak of martial sect. With such a lineup, David couldn't help frowning. If you are full of spiritual power now, you are not afraid, even if you can't beat it, you can easily escape. But now, the spiritual power in David's body has long been exhausted. It's too late to replenish. In the face of so many opponents of the peak of Wuzong, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with. Seeing David's face, Luo Xiang smiled even more proudly. Hand over all the treasures on you, I can spare you not to die. Did you also get the magic weapon from the Demon Suppression Tower? Otherwise, the Demon Suppression Tower wouldn't collapse. Luo Xiang questioned David. David did not speak, but looked at the situation around him. Thinking about how to escape. You don't have to have any illusions. If you don't hand over your treasures today, you don't want to leave. Luo Xiang knew what David was thinking, so he said coldly. After David thought about it, he took out the Demon Suppression Tower directly from the storage ring. This is the Demon Suppression Tower, the tower that collapsed, but it's just a carrier. David said while holding the Demon Town Tower in his hand. Seeing the Demon Suppression Tower in David's hands, Luo Xiang's eyes flashed instantly. Quick, give me! Luo Xiang urged David. David took the Demon Suppression Tower and walked slowly towards Luo Xiang. David didn't really give Luo Xiang the Devil Town Tower, he just wanted to hold Luo Xiang away when Luo Xiang relaxed his vigilance. The moment Luo Xiang's hand touched the Demon Suppression Tower, David's eyes flashed coldly, and he suddenly grabbed Luo Xiang's wrist. Luo Xiang was startled, and hurriedly turned back and retreated, but it was too late. He saw David clasping Luo Xiang's wrist, then he turned sideways behind Luo Xiang, and stuck his hand on Luo Xiang's neck. Luo Xiang's face instantly became extremely ugly. He didn't expect David to give him this set. "Let our young master go." When several servants of the Luo family saw this, they all shouted, "It's okay to let him go, you all lay down on the ground for me, don't move." After David controlled Luo Xiang, he instantly relaxed a lot. Several Luo family members looked at each other, not knowing what to do. David exerted a little force on his hand, Luo Xiang suddenly felt difficult to breathe, and his face was flushed red. "Your subordinates don't seem to be obedient," David said in Luo Xiang's ear. At this moment, Luo Xiang, feeling the breath of death, hurriedly shouted, get down quickly." Soon, those people were all lying on the ground. "If you don't want him to die, then just lie down and don't move." David controlled Luo Xiang and began to retreat slowly. But just when David was about to control Luo Xiang to escape, a sharp breath suddenly hit. David controlled Luo Xiang, turned around, and dodged the blow embarrassedly. And the breath hit a tree not far away, and the big tree was cut off in an instant. "Damn, are you really not afraid of death?" David's face was full of anger. He didn't expect that he would control Luo Xiang, and those Luo family's servants would dare to attack from behind. David exerted force on his hand, Luo Xiang's eyes were wide open, and his eyeballs turned red. "Get down, you fucking lie down for me!" Luo Xiang shouted. However, the two people who attacked David did not listen to Luo Xiang's words, but said coldly, "We are not from the Luo family, why should we listen to you? Now we only need to get the treasure on David's body. The life and death of others have nothing to do with us." After hearing the words of these two people, David was a little stunned. Chapter 1187. It turns out that these people are not all from the Luo family. When Luo Xiang heard this, he almost died of anger. "Ha ha ha, my people are right." At this moment, a burst of laughter came, and then Ning Ji walked slowly with a few people. "Luo Xiang, you are the eldest young master of the Luo family, and you can how is it? Life or death, what does it have to do with my Ning family?" Seeing that Ning Ji came, Luo Xiang suddenly said angrily, "Ning Ji, what do you mean? Didn't we agree? When the treasure arrives, half of each person will be there. Who the H3LL divides you, this is Kyoto, it's my territory, you still want to divide it with me? It's just a daydream. I want all the treasures on David's body, and I want his life." It was at this time that David understood that there were actually people from the Ning family among those brought by Luo Xiang. "I didn't expect the two to join forces to deal with themselves." But it looked like Luo Xiang was being tricked by Ning Ji. Luo Xiang looked at Ning Ji angrily, "Ning Ji, don't regret it, my Luo family is not so easy to bully, even in Kyoto, I can make your Ning family disappear completely." Luo Xiang's words instantly made Ning Ji burst into laughter. "You're so fucking funny, look at the current situation, do you still have a chance to survive?" After Ning Ji finished speaking, he then looked at David, "You kill him now, and then obediently kneel in front of me, I can still give you a good time." David looked at Ning Ji gloomily. Although this guy is not very strong, he has a deep scheming and is a tough guy. If it wasn't for Ning Ji deliberately exposing his secrets on the martial arts forum, David would not have been targeted by so many sects. "David, you let me go, as long as you let me go, all the grievances of Luo Xiang will be written off with you. I'm not spying on all your treasures, what do you think?" Luo Xiang said to David. It's just that David didn't let go, because he didn't know if this was a play that Luo Xiang and Ning Ji sang together. If he released Luo Xiang and the two were uniting, then he would surely die. Seeing that David didn't trust him, Luo Xiang was a little anxious. He was really afraid that David would kill him. David, you and I have no grievances and no grudges. It was I who lost my mind and was provoked by this Ningxi. That's why I took action against you. I promise, after you let me go, I will never be your enemy. And the two of us can work together to deal with this Ningxi. Otherwise, if you kill me, you won't be able to escape this Ningxi's poisonous hand. Luo Xiang said sincerely. David looked at Luo Xiang, and finally let go of his hand slowly. When Luo Xiang got out of David's control, Ningxi was also a little dumbfounded. He didn't expect that David would really dare to let Luo Xiang go. Luo Xiang regained his freedom, and immediately glared at Ningxi. Ningxi, today, I'm fucking killing you, you dare to trick me. As he said that, Luo Xiang's aura continued to erupt, and then he slapped Ningxi with his palm. Luo Xiang's strength has long been the peak of Wuzong, and he is about to break through to the point of half-step Wuhao, while Ningxi is just the peak of Wuzong who has just been promoted. There is still a gap in the strength of the two, so when Luo Xiang punched him, Ningxi didn't dare to resist, and hurriedly ducked to the side. Luo Xiang didn't stop, he turned sideways, followed by another punch. The strong wind howled, and the huge impact directly knocked Ningxi into the air. Ningxi's body slammed heavily on a tree, directly breaking the tree. The servants of the Ning family hurriedly subdued Ningxi. Paralyzed, are you all dead? Give it to me. Ningxi roared at those servants. Soon, the servants of the Ning family attacked Luo Xiang. Chapter 1188. And the people brought by Luo Xiang also joined the battle instantly. The two sides scuffled together. Although Ningxi brought many people, Luo Xiang was strong, his fists shone brightly and waved constantly. It's hard to tell the winner for a while. Seeing the situation in front of him, David turned around and ran away without any hesitation. As for who can win Ningxi and Luo Xiang in the end, it has nothing to do with him. David fled to Yaishan Valley in one breath. Long Wu and Su Chongsheng were all surprised when they saw David's embarrassed appearance. David, what's wrong with you? Where are you injured? Gulinger hasn't seen David for nearly a month, and now seeing David like this makes me feel very distressed. It's okay, it's just too boring. David smiled slightly. Su Chongsheng hurriedly brought some qi condensing pills and healing medicines to help David treat his injuries. David, beheading Guo Wei, and the matter of the sect master Tibetan Qing, are they all true? Long Wu asked David. After all, these things happened after David left Medicine God Valley. Although there are some similarities in the forum, none of these things are earth-shattering. Therefore, Long Wu I had to confirm with David. It's true. David nodded. Seeing David admit it in person, Long Wu's face showed worry. After giving David good medicine, Long Wu told everyone to leave, only he and David were in the room. David looked at the worry on Long Wu's face, so he said with relief, Uncle Long, you don't have to worry about me. Now my strength, except for the heads of those sect families, otherwise no one can do anything to me. After hearing this, Long Wu shook his head. David, you still underestimate the strength of various sect families, especially the Martial Arts Alliance. You killed Guo Wei now and became a mortal enemy with the Martial Arts Alliance, then Zhu Zishan will not let you go. And the Long family. I know Long Jingguo too well. Although the Long family has not troubled you during this time, it does not mean that Long Jingguo will let you go. You've been in the limelight recently. In the martial arts forum, Xin Pengfei has already spoken, and he wants to compete with you on New Year's Day. In the days to come, it will be difficult for you to practice cleanly. After stopping Long Wu's words, David looked confused. Uncle Long, who is Xin Pengfei? He didn't even know who this person was, so why did he suddenly want to compare himself with him? This person is ranked number 1 on the free and easy list, because you killed the Tibetan Qing of Tianxia sect, so many people on the forum think that your strength can be ranked number 1 on the free list, so Xin Pengfei wants to compete with you. Long Wu explained. What is this free and easy list? David found that he didn't know much about the martial arts world. It's a ranking list, which is filled with young martial artists, who were voted for by their strength. However, officials are afraid that such rankings will cause unnecessary fights, so they are blocked. But now many young people are still paying attention to this list. Long Wu said. When David heard it, he immediately smiled and said, I'm not interested in this thing, so I won't compete. He wants to challenge me, so I shouldn't fight. David doesn't care about fame and fortune, even if he ranks first, so what? He wants to rescue his mother and Sonia now, and then the family will be reunited and live in peace. You don't care, but that doesn't mean that others don't care. You shouldn't fight at that time. Then Xin Pengfei has a way to force you to take action. You've been pushed to the cusp now, and it's hard to land. Long Wu expressed his concerns. David also knew that during this time, he was really too pushy. Chapter 1189. So much so that if you want to practice quietly, it has become a luxury. Now she can only use the strength of the Valley of the Wicked to give herself shelter for a period of time. David told Long Wu about his plans. When Long Wu heard that David wanted to rescue his mother from the Long family and Sonia from the Martial Arts Alliance when he was young, he immediately shook his head. Don't take things too simple. Whether it's the Long family or the Martial Arts Alliance, it's not what you see now. No one knows how deep their heritage is. What do you think Mr. Shi is so condoning and protecting you now? He needs to use your hand to confuse the entire Kyoto martial arts world. Only when the water is muddy, something hidden behind it will slowly emerge from the water. Even the official is like this. Do you think you can fight against the Long family and the Martial Arts Alliance by yourself? Long Wu attacked David. He didn't want David to be too aggressive. Haste is not enough. If David was too aggressive, many things would be unpredictable. David fell into deep thought after listening to Long Wu's words. It may also be that he is really in a hurry, but watching his mother and girlfriend suffer, David can't help but be anxious. Seeing that David didn't speak, Long Wu patted David's shoulder. What you have to do now is to improve your strength. When your strength is strong enough, all problems are not problems. Don't think about anything else, or it will affect the progress of your cultivation. David nodded heavily, and then said, Uncle Long, can you take me to the Valley of the Wicked? Many people are staring at me now. I can't find a quiet place to practice. Although Yaishin Valley is hidden, there are many people who know this place. If someone finds this place, with the strength of Elder Su and the others, they will not be able to resist. I want to rely on the strength of the Valley of the Wicked to help me fight for a period of time to cultivate. When Long Wu heard this, he fell into deep thought. It's not that he didn't want to help David, but his relationship with the Wicked was exhausted. At that time, when he asked the 4 wicked men to rescue David, he had already used up his face. Now that David made such a request, Long Wu didn't know what to say. That place in the Valley of the Wicked is not something that anyone can enter. Moreover, the 4 villains have strange personalities, and it is estimated that it is difficult to agree. However, since David came up with it, Long Wu decided to contact the Valley of the Wicked to try. Okay, I'll get in touch with the Valley of the Wicked and see if I can. Long Wu nodded and then walked out. David looked at Long Wu who went out, and did not tell him that the Valley of the Wicked was the entrance of the Dragon Sect. Just as Long Wu left, Gu Linger hurried in. I haven't seen David for a while, and Gu Linger is very worried. David, when you come back this time, are you still leaving? Gu Linger asked David. Every time, David left within a few days. David nodded, let's go, maybe tomorrow. When Gu Linger heard that David was leaving so soon, her expression suddenly became a little lonely. Where are you going? Now many people are staring at you outside. If you run around, it will be very dangerous. Gulinger also knew some things on the forum and David's current situation. If I stay in Yaishin Valley, it will not be long before Yaishin Valley will be filled with gunpowder smoke. I'm going to practice in a hidden place. When I'm strong enough, I'm going to the Martial Arts Alliance to rescue Sonia. She must have suffered a lot now. Thinking of Sonia, David's eyes were full of self-blame. Chapter 1190. If Sonia hadn't followed her, she might not have been caught by the people of the Martial Arts Alliance. Then can I come with you? Otherwise I'm always worried. Gulinger wanted to go with David. No, if you follow me, it will be very dangerous. I don't have the energy to protect you. You have to hurry up and cultivate yourself. When your strength improves and you are strong enough, maybe I will need you to protect it. David said with a slight smile. Well, Elder Su will now refine a lot of medicinal herbs for me to practice, and I will work hard. Gulinger nodded heavily. At this time, David opened the storage ring and took out the map of Zhuanli mountains and rivers from inside. This is for you. It can help you cultivate. You should know how to use it. David gave Gulinger the map of 90,000 miles of mountains and rivers. You keep this, don't you want to practice too? Gulinger knew that David needed this thing more than himself. Take it, I still have other magic tools to practice now. David said with a smile. With the demon suppression pagoda in place, David's practice is temporarily less than 90,000 miles of mountains and rivers, so it's just right for Gulinger to practice. Gulinger did not refuse, but took over the map of 90,000 miles of mountains and rivers. At this moment, Longwu walked in with a happy face. David, I agreed, Ding Dao agreed, I promised to let you go to the Valley of the Wicked. Longwu did not expect that Ding Dao would agree so happily. David smiled slightly, thank you Uncle Long. Why are you being polite to me, but I didn't expect Ding Dao to agree so happily. Longwu said excitedly. After chatting for a while, Longwu left with Gulinger, and let David have a good rest, and set off for the Valley of the Wicked tomorrow. At this time, in a forest, there are scorched trees everywhere, and the smoke is full of gunpowder. There were several corpses lying on the ground, and Luo Xiang was covered in blood, leaning on a tree, panting heavily. On the Ningji side, it didn't get any better. Several people died, and the rest were wounded. Ningji's chest is even more bloody. Ningji didn't expect that Luo Xiang, who held such a vengeance, would fight with him directly. Ningji, if you have the ability to kill Lao Tzu today, if you let me go back alive, I will definitely destroy your Ning family. Although Luo Xiang was seriously injured, his eyes were wide open and his body was full of arrogance. Humph, you're still stubborn when you're about to die. Ningji snorted coldly, since you want to die, I will fulfill you. With that said, Ningji took the sword and walked towards Luo Xiang. Luo Xiang no longer had the strength to dodge, his eyes fixed on Ningji, if you kill me, the Luo family will definitely avenge me. Yes, of course I know that the Luo family will avenge you, but they won't seek revenge for me, but David. When I kill you, I will plant the blame directly on David's head. When the time comes, the Luo family is looking for David. Ningji grinned, it seemed that he had already thought about it. Luo Xiang was stunned, he didn't expect this guy Ningji's mind to be vicious. If the Luo family really wants to avenge themselves and go to David, no matter who wins or loses at that time, for Ningji, it's all to take advantage of the fisherman. You despicable villain, I won't let you go even if I'm a ghost. Luo Xiang gritted his teeth. But just after he finished speaking, the long sword in Ningji's hand had already pierced his heart. In the end, Luo Xiang has no life, his eyes are still wide open, and he can't rest his eyes. Put together the bodies of the Luo family. After killing Luo Xiang, Ningji said to the 3 remaining servants of the Ning family. These people were also seriously injured, but when Ningji spoke, they still followed suit. But just when these 3 people stepped forward to restrain the Luo family,